स्टार्ट करते हैं, मुझे बताइए। Hello everyone. Today I will discuss command of audit questions. To solve any numerical questions, it is essential to understand what is the true demand of UPSC, right? In audit, and it is more important in case of theory questions. In case of numerical questions, the command is very clear. For example, prepare balance sheet, prepare P&L. But in case of theory questions, you have to interpret the demand of the question, right? So by reading the keywords given in the question, you will be able to do this. Today we will do this in case of audit. This is pre-prepared and handwritten by me. So first we will see divisible profits and dividends. You know that most important area in audit is divisible profit and dividends. If you see past year questions in divisible profit and dividends, you have been asked meaning of divisible profit, dividend and interim dividend. Take care, this meaning cannot be written in just 10-15 words. You have to write meaning in around 50 to 60 words. If you don't write 50 to 60 words, you cannot expect 5 marks, right? If you are asked what is a divisible profit and you just write 2 lines, divisible profit means these 3 things, then this answer won't suffice. You will have to write 50 to 60 words. When we will discuss PYQs on this, I will discuss those in detail, right? Only once a question has been asked on comparison. Questions on comparison may be asked in audit in any other area also, whether it is financial accounting or income tax or financial management. So here you are asked comparison between divisible profit and dividends once it has been asked. But most of the time this has been asked, and definitely it will be the demand of most of the questions in audit. Means auditor's duty with regard to interim dividend, means how auditor will verify interim dividend, similarly divisible profit, similarly dividend payment, and similarly duty with regard to ensuring that dividend is not paid out of capital. So auditor will have to check these things to ensure that these are authentic. This is not done, right? And 2 times a question has been asked on bare provisions of Companies Act. It is asked directly. Tell the provisions of Companies Act with regard to dividends, with regard to distribution of dividends, with regard to dividend cannot be paid out of capital. So here you have to write provisions of section 123 to 127 of the Companies Act, and you have to write provisions of dividend rules 2014. So you have to write. And another one question that was out of line was divisible profit. They tell about philosophy of majority stakeholders. So this was an unexpected question. Such a question should be asked in financial management. But since dividend is covered in your syllabus at 2-3 places, so it was very natural, right? So this has been the command of the topic. So you must be clear about meaning of these things, and not just meaning in just 10-20 words, because you are asked minimum 10 marks question. And if you are asked what is meaning of divisible profit, so just 3 lines won't suffice. You will have to write at least 1 page or half page. Half page means 50-60 words. Similarly, comparison, similarly auditor's duty, that is more important. And if you see past year questions, if you see your total syllabus, everything has been asked by UPSC. And it seems that due to everything asked, UPSC asked this kind of question. That is analytical questions or philosophical question is asked, right? In future, to me, there would be repetition of questions on divisible profit and dividends. Thereafter, if you see questions in audit of NPOs, main command of the question is major points of consideration. Major points of consideration with regard to audit of charitable institution, audit of charitable trust, 5 important points to incorporate in audit, or audit of hospital. This has been asked time and again, major points of consideration. So here major points or key points or main points that are very important. So at the time you study audit of non-government organizations, so you must be very clear about what are the unique checking requirements. There are certain common things which are done by the auditor in every audit. For example, preparation of audit program, whether you are doing bank audit or tax audit or whatever audit you do, you have to do it. Study of internal control system, substantive examination, reporting, use of 5-6 techniques of audit, whether it is vouching, physical verification, confirmation, analytical review. So these are common to all. So here what you are asked, key points. So key points means unique items of income, expense, asset, liability. Unique items of income, expense, asset, liability, and other things that are to be considered by the auditor. So for example, auditors have to consider bylaws of the charitable society or minutes of the managing committee, that should be written. Auditor have to take care of the provisions of Indian Trust Act or Societies Registration Act, right? Similarly, with regard to income, auditors should write unique items of income in case of these organizations. So unique items of income here are donations, legacies, subscriptions. So in one para of one small para, you should write how donations would be verified by the auditor, how subscription would be verified. Thereafter, another unique point will become expenses. So expenses in case of hospital, that should be written. That is medical bills, that is medicines, that is equipments, lab expenses, doctor's salary, and all other house maintenance expenses, etc. That would be the key point. Similarly, items of assets and liabilities, your verification would come in the key points. Means examiner must feel the smell of hospital or NGO through your write-up. Then he will understand that you have written the key points or main points. Right? Another command of the question was, you are asked audit procedures for conducting audit of NGOs. I think same is the demand. Here with regard to audit procedures, we can draw two meanings. One meaning is he should prepare audit program. Another meaning is, if I go for a strict meaning of audit procedures. Audit procedures include audit program, study of internal control system, substantive examination, and vouching, verification, direct confirmation, analytical review, etc. These are the audit procedures. But I think this is not the demand. Because you are asked audit of NGOs, so in audit procedures, in one small para you should write it, so that you avoid the risk. But thereafter you write key points. So key 8 to 10 points that are unique to audit of NGOs should be written. With regard to checking, the auditor should conduct study of the bylaws of the NGO managing committee, minutes, thereafter income, expense, asset, liability, and reporting. Right? So this has been the command of the question. Again you are asked distinguishing features of audit of NPOs. Distinguishing features or major points or key points, same thing. Means don't write common features. What are the common features? Auditors should do vouching. Auditors should do verification. Distinguishing feature is auditors should verify donations. That is a distinguishing feature. He should verify subscriptions. So by writing unique items of income, expense, asset, liability, this distinguishing feature would be written by you. And this was a one question in which you are asked hospital and university. So it was, if it is a 15 marker question, so write 3-4 examples of hospital, 3-4 times hospital, 3-4 times NGOs. Right? And thereafter a special point to be kept in mind, again, same thing. In other words, we can merge all of these in one group. All of these in one group. And that is essentially written at start of any question, special points or key criteria or key considerations or points of attention. All of these mean same thing. You have to write the unique points. Right? That is the command of questions in audit of NGOs. And that is very important also. Topmost importance is, if you see past year questions, divisible profit and dividends, thereafter comes NPOs, and thereafter comes bank audit. In bank audit, command is missing. 2, 3, 4 types of commands are there. 2 times question have been asked, discuss special points into consideration. So special points into consideration that are applicable to banks. For example, Banking Regulation Act, RBI guidelines, prudential norms, you will write. Thereafter, special items of income of banks. So interest income would be written, income from NPAs would be written, income from investments would be written, and unique items of income such as locker rent and other charges, brokerage, etc. would be written. And thereafter special items points with regard to expenses, that is interest payment is special point. So these are the points that are unique to bank, they will be written. As I say, very easy to do audit of these. You have to keep in mind items of income, expense, asset, liability. And same thing was repeated once more. What special points will you keep in mind? That is same thing. But thereafter other commands were there. One command was important function. Important audit of a bank is important function of auditors. It was with regard to advances. Say that audit of advances is an important function of bank auditors. So you are expected to write why special attention to be paid by the auditor to audit of advances. Definitely it affects incomes. It affects expenses with regard to provisioning coverage. It affects asset quality. So auditor has to check the asset quality and ensure that real quality is depicted in the balance sheet. And as per quality of the assets, provisions have been made. So if there is any manipulation with regard to recognition of asset quality, provision and income, so completely unfair and untrue financial position may be reflected. Right? So that is very important. And you may be asked steps to be taken for declaring any account as non-performing. So here some broad criteria are there. For example, default in payment of amount due within 90 days. That is the general step. But this is not the only step. Auditor should see other technical criteria while declaring any account NPA. That is covered. And you are asked a general question, that is define audit. So in case of bank audit, that is very important also. And central to bank audit is advances. So different kind of question may also be asked. With regard to investigation, the command of the question is much expected. You are asked meaning of investigation, you write meaning with features. Meaning won't be sufficient. You should write meaning with features. Just two-liner meaning won't suffice. And it is very natural to compare investigation with audit. Right? And thereafter, the most expected area is special cases of investigation. Right? So it is given in the syllabus also various kinds of investigation. Investigation by a bank while granting loan to any person. Investigation in case of fraud with regard to cash. Fraud with regard to wages. Fraud with regard to inventory may be asked. Similarly, in what circumstances central government may give order for investigation. So your study material or book, whatever you are reading, it must be containing various kinds. So 3 times this question has been asked. 3 times. On tax audit, there is lack of variety on tax audit. So we were expecting it. If we see our notes, so 2-page notes are there on tax audit. In 2 pages there are 7-8 areas. That is the need of tax audit. What is the purpose of tax audit? Objectives of tax audit? Who can do tax audit? Form 3CD about rights and duties of tax audit. So UPSC also asked question, what is a tax audit? What are the objectives of tax audit? Who can do tax audit? This was asked in one question. Right? So a general question means 2 or more aspects related to tax audit were asked. And thereafter only twice question have been asked on tax audit. Another question that is possible is provisions of section 35D and 35E. It was exceptional question. Such question is not expected to be repeated. But we can take cues from this question. If we see this question, so UPSC may ask a 10-marker question, mention the situations in which tax audit is compulsory. If you remember, there is one table in your notes. So remember that table having 7-8 kinds of situations in which tax audit is compulsory. Right? The turnover is more than 1 CR, presumptive taxation cases, if they don't report minimum required income. Right? So on provisions question may be asked, general question has already been asked. Insurance company audit. In case of insurance company audit, 3 kinds of questions are feasible. Only once a question was asked, key aspects of insurance company audit. So key aspects, just like key aspects of bank audit, you write 7-8 key aspects. Means overall provisions of Insurance Act 1938, IRDA to be considered, and internal control system of insurance company to be checked, premiums to be checked, claims to be checked, right, and agents accounts to be checked, and another important item is investments to be checked. Investments to be checked. So these are unique items with regard to insurance companies. This was a general question. You are asked 7-8 items of insurance company. Now special question that is expected is audit of insurance premium. That can be asked. Insurance premium. That is next in expectation. And second is audit of insurance claims. That is also expected. Now come to audit report. Here variety is asked. For example, a question was asked, auditor expresses his opinion on overall financial position of the firm rather than individual item. So this was an expected question and it required a broader knowledge. Thereafter, multiple time questions were asked on qualified audit report. Qualified audit report. So you are asked meaning of qualified audit report and circumstances of qualified audit report and format of qualified audit report. With regard to qualified audit report, 3 times question been asked. What is meaning of qualified audit report? Definitely you will have to write meaning of qualified audit report as per auditing standards. You know there are 2 situations in which audit report can be qualified. Auditor received evidence, auditor not received evidence. Received evidence and finds any material misstatement which is not pervasive. And didn't receive evidence but he projects that there could be material undetected material misstatement, right? And format of audit report that is asked, contents. So you have to write various parts of audit report and key point thereof. That will be the content of audit report, right? So the focus of the examiner has been on qualified audit report. It may be asked. For long it has not been asked. And thereafter, with regard to auditor appointment, removal, for long questions have not been asked. These are old questions, means you can say 15 years, 20 years before questions have been asked on appointment of auditors and removal of auditors. So definitely this is very much expected. How? With regard to appointment, you will be asked how auditors are appointed. So write how first auditor is appointed, how subsequent auditor is appointed, how casual vacancy is filled. So you write provisions. Similarly, how auditors are removed. So you write a process of removal of auditors with besides provisions. You are also asked discuss appointment. Discuss appointment. This is expected question today because there is change in Companies Act 2013, major change. Position before was different and today it is different. We have covered it. And you may be asked a straightforward question, write the provisions of Companies Act 2013. So you'll write here provisions of section 139. And you may be asked, here a question is asked, if auditor is not appointed, so I think it is outdated. It is outdated question, but similar question may be asked on situations. Now come to rights, duties and status of the auditor. So 2 times a question have been asked, auditor is a watchdog, not a bloodhound. And to me, it is much expected. Again, question may be asked here. Question may be asked. I put triple tick marks on bloodhound concept. So auditor is a watchdog, not a bloodhound. So as it is given in your notes, you could write it. It is with regard to duties of the auditor. Take care, don't write much about bloodhound, write more about role of auditor. Role of auditor means how he should not work or how he should work. He should work as a watchdog and he should not work as a bloodhound. Another, you are asked note. You are asked note. We are discussing command. Write a short note on powers of the auditor, duties of the auditor. It doesn't mean you will write a list and your answer is over. List is not note. My suggestion is write note on powers of the auditor in para form. in para form. So there should be some ideas in para form that auditor occupies an important position in corporate governance of the company. So he is given not only rights, he is given powers. Power signifies an open-ended discretionary right. For example, he can ask any information and any explanation from any officer of the company. So this is essential. This provides independence to the auditor. This provides autonomy to the auditor. If you restrict the powers of the auditor, he won't be able to work well. Similarly, he is having all-time access to records and documents of the company. So all of these powers means write provisions less and comments more, then you will be writing note. Note means your mindset or your view on this. Similarly, duties. Write 5-6 duties but with a comment mindset. Comment doesn't mean negative. Comment means write significance, importance, how it will help better audit work. Further, you are asked to explain rights and duties. So it also means that don't write just a list. No. Instead of writing 10 points on rights, write 6 points. But write with some detail. You can write some logic. You can write need behind. Or you elaborate the right. Not just point form. For example, auditor is having all-time access to books and documents of the company. So it is necessary to perform audit work well. Thereafter, auditor is having, in order to do audit better, he is having right to take advice such as, so by adding example, you explain it. So that reader understands the logic, the provision and the way out. So auditor can seek advice from a technical expert. For example, auditor is doing physical verification of certain technical goods. So he can call for expert. Then he can say that physically items exist. And similarly, explain duties. So with some details you have to write. Once you are asked what are rights, here you can make a list. You can make a list of 8 to 10 rights. Here neither not asked nor explanation asked, you are asked what. So must pay attention to the command, that is what, or explain, or not. Right? Another is examine status. Take care, it is examine. So here you write critical analysis, or logical, or your view also, examine. For example, to me, auditor is trustee of the stakeholders, because shareholders and other stakeholders rely upon the work done by the auditor. They cannot verify the work of management done. So he is a trustee. But always they are not working as a true trustee. They work as per intent of management also, due to which frauds may remain undetected. So write the exact status and to what extent this status has been fulfilled. Similarly, auditor is an officer of the company. So he is not a usual officer of the company because he is having access to information. So like any officer, he is responsible for misuse of the information. He is responsible to ensure privacy of the information. But he is not usual officer of the company. He is not usual servant of the company. He takes remuneration, so he is servant of the company, but he is not like any other worker. He is having a special auditorship status. So we have to write status with uniqueness of the status. He is agent of the shareholders. So he is not sales agent. He is not purchasing agent. He is agent of the shareholders in terms of protecting their interests. He makes charge from the shareholders, means company, and he protects their interests. So if something is wrong, something is harmful for the investors, he will have to report as an agent. So he is a reporting agent. So we have to examine, we have to pay attention to this way. With regard to liabilities, liability is a disputed area. or liability is special area because they do not arise every day. That's why the words are discuss, circumstances, because liabilities doesn't arise daily. They arise in special situations only. That's why you are asked circumstances. So here you have to write examples or something done or something happened due to which auditors become liable. Right? For example, you are asked discuss liability for negligence. So here discussion means what is negligence and why he should be liable. Definitely auditor is expected to work as a watchdog, due care and skill. And if he works carelessly, then there may be loss to other party. He must compensate them for carelessness. But it is very difficult to fix this liability. So here we have to write it is very difficult. And towards third party, so discuss means some acceptable view, some not acceptable view, and final conclusion. So discussion means I will first say that no, he is not liable. Thereafter I will say it is not the true idea. Since accounts are used by the public at large, so he should be held liable. In Dennis versus Gold case, it was adjudged that it was held that the auditor is liable if he is part of any fraud intentionally and there is loss to the third party. And thereafter in discussion, I will first give argument further that under Companies Act there is provision for class action suits. There is provision for public interest. If something wrong is done, then he is liable. And in discussion, I will also write that holding auditor liable towards third party is not easy because third parties are not identifiable at the time of report is given. So it is open-ended liability. So courts have to decide as per circumstances of the case. That is discussion. So when you write various dimensions about something, right? Pros, cons, in favor, against, right? Then it is called discussion. Circumstances we covered. And is auditor liable for misstatement in prospectus? It is a straightforward question. Answer is yes. If misstatement was as per his knowledge, it was with intention to defraud others and there was a loss to the third parties. If these three conditions are fulfilled, he will be liable. Right? So, my point is to answer very well to the point, you must understand command of the question. If without understanding the command of the question and meaning of that command, you may get 40% marks, 35% mark. And if you understand the command, definitely your answer would be to the point, exact answer.